Everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What's that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter.
A victory for Trump was a victory for free speech, right? There are few people in Congress whom we could openly advocate for and say that they are transparent, authentic, and stand by their principles. One such name is Thomas Massie, who has consistently spoken out against the type of interests that get people in a lot of trouble. Whether you are pro-Israel or anti-Israel, surely you agree that Thomas Massie is a principled politician who speaks not as a result of biases, lobbying, and donor money, but because he has deep-seated, generally speaking, anti-corporate beliefs. Now, Thomas Massie has voted against a bill that Trump is pushing through that some are interpreting as being pro-war and advantageous, potentially, I don't know, to Israel. Is that what this is about? In any event, Massie and Rand Paul, both of Kentucky, have voted against it. Let me know in the comments and chat if you want politicians that are willing to stand up for what they believe in, or do you believe that unity, as Donald Trump himself says in a Truth Social post, is the most important thing? And let me know if you feel that Trump is governing out of alignment with the way that he campaigned and breaking pledges he made on the campaign trail. Let's get into this story.
All right, from the White House to Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are racing the clock to keep the lights on. We are literally just days away from reaching that deadline on Friday at 12 a.m. Eastern. And House Republicans are kicking the can down the road with a 99-page continuing resolution that would fund the government through the end of September. Now, that resolution includes an increase in defense spending by $7 billion and $6 billion for veterans' health. Already, we know two Republicans who say they are no on this, Congressman Thomas Massie and Senator Rand Paul. They are both from Kentucky.
Yeah, those two, like you said, Republicans from Kentucky are looking for even deeper spending cuts. This isn't just an issue that resonates with them. Republicans at large within the party for months now have been talking about how it's time to start cutting spending, especially at Biden-era levels. The difference, though, is Donald Trump himself, the president, has come out to endorse this continuing resolution and pleading with Republican lawmakers through his Truth Social page, asking them to hold off on these fights, wait until after the stopgap measure is passed through both the House and Senate and makes it to his desk to be signed into law before they start worrying about these fiscal concerns. They believe that now isn't the time for those fights, they being the White House, and deeper conversations could happen more effectively when it comes to budget resolution for the fiscal year 2026. As part of that, we are hearing from Republicans that Speaker Johnson is interested in codifying some of these cuts across the board to these federal departments and agencies as part of that fiscal year 2026 plan. But right now they have an imminent deadline approaching, and they're just trying to get this across the finish line as quickly as possible without approaching their colleagues across the aisle.
Now, did you think that voting for Trump would be voting for an increase in defense spending? And I suppose, of course, we all acknowledge that there are different types of defense spending. I'm sure that not many of us would begrudge working service personnel a decent living wage and care packages for veterans. But don't many of us suspect, as a result of failed Pentagon audits, that much of your country's defense expenditure ends up in the hands of the military-industrial complex? And didn't most of us think that this was a time to end wars, to advocate for ceasefire, to stop sending so much American money to Ukraine, not because we don't love Ukrainian people, but because we know that the Ukraine-Russia war only has one outcome. Well, there's a few outcomes. One, there's Russia beats Ukraine. Another one is there's a global nuclear war, and that neither of those are particularly desirable. So how do you feel when someone like Thomas Massie, who I believe, generally speaking, is a truthful and authentic political figure, attracts the ire of Donald Trump? Let me know in the comments and chat. Here's Trump's Truth Social post in which he condemns Thomas Massie and suggests a primary to dislodge him. Lots of stuff, but the really important point is sometimes it takes great courage to do the right thing. Congressman Thomas Massie of beautiful Kentucky is an automatic no vote on just about everything, despite the fact that he's always voted for the continuing resolutions in the past. He should be primaried, and I will lead the charge against him. He's just another grandstander who's too much trouble and not worth the fight. He reminds me of Liz Cheney before her historic record-breaking loss. The people of Kentucky won't stand for it. Just watch. Do I have any takers? Anyway, thank you again to the Freedom House. So that's a public declaration of war by Trump against Thomas Massie. But what's interesting is that there are now many people on the MAGA right that are willing to stand up against Trump because they consider Thomas Massie to be an authentic and important political voice. Now, wherever you stand on the issue of free speech, or wherever you stand on the issue of Israel, or even if you're a Democrat or a social justice warrior or whatever you are, what are your principles on this issue? Certainly a lot of people have spoken out in defense of Thomas Massie. Here's what Thomas Massie himself said in response to Trump. Someone thinks they can control my voting card by threatening my re-election. Guess what? Doesn't work on me. 3 times I've had a challenger who tried to be more MAGA than me. None busted 25% because my constituents prefer transparency and principles over blind allegiance. Thomas Massie clearly has a lot of vocal supporters. Here's just a selection of posts in his defense. Ian Carroll, star of the Joe Rogan Show and brilliant content creator, saying stay the fuck away from our boy Don. Clayton Morris, wow, Trump getting ratioed is not what I had on my bingo card. One of the 3 members of the House I trust. Who's going to be the other one? Who are the others? Not a smart move. Brett Weinstein, friend of the show. I stand. Brett's sort of casual. Oh, sweet. Thomas Massie is one of the only members of Congress not owned by the Israel lobby. Now, obviously, many of those people are connecting this to pro-Israel movements like AIPAC. As you know, probably I'm a Christian and I believe in the right of Israel to exist and I'm against anti-Semitism. But I'm certainly sympathetic to those who believe that the Israeli deep state have alliances with the US deep state. Let me know what you think about that. Here's Thomas Massie on Tucker Carlson's show talking about AIPAC and what it means.
Everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
Could your health issues be being caused by an invisible enemy? I don't mean the ghost of Adolf Hitler. I mean actual parasites getting inside you and messing with your shit. I was digging into parasite cleanses when I came across this doctor. I don't mean that in a filthy way.
What are the main differences between ivermectin and fenbendazole? These are 2 anti-pathogens used to treat parasitic infections and other similar types of conditions. They are used quite often in the oncology world to treat cancer. They both have as anti-pathogenic abilities.
Do you know 50% of Americans have parasites? They secretly invade your body, wreaking havoc on your gut, energy levels, and even your brain hole. And the mainstream medical system, they don't care about you and your parasites. They don't when you're thinking about this, because one great cleanse can change your life. The Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin plus mebendazole, a Nobel Prize winner, now in Parasite Cleanse combo that wipes out these invaders. Just fill out a brief medical intake form to get a 3-month supply. Lots of parasite cleanses are all over social media, but not the gold standard level. Oh no. Maha has officially happened. The Wellness Company is making these medications available to you to get parasites out. Go to twc.health/brand to get $60 off plus free shipping. Get in parasites out.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
Every member has something like this?
that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them. And they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them.
That's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, I'll talk to my AIPAC person. And it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? It doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
I don't think you have to be anti-Israel or an anti-Semite to have questions about the nature and unique status of AIPAC. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Thomas Massie, of course, is broadly anti-war. Certainly he's anti-escalating tensions between Iran and the United States, for example. Here's a couple of posts from him and Tucker Carlson. Fox News is wall-to-wall with dead-eyed politicians telling you that Iran is a dangerous sponsor of terror, softening up the base for a war. But what exactly does that phrase mean, and how does it apply to the United States? Here's one measure over the past 20 years. How many Americans have been killed by Iran on American soil? Try to find that number, then compare it to the number of Americans killed by drug overdoses or suicide or illegal aliens or carjackings or diabetes or the COVID vaccine. Still think Iran is the greatest threat? How about we focus on our own country for a minute? Certainly many of us would contest that Donald Trump was elected to put America first. But what I suppose Donald Trump would claim is that everything he does puts America first. Would that not just be the equivalent of Anthony Fauci saying, I am the science? Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about that. Here's Thomas Massie saying the military-industrial complex demands about $50 billion per year in war. As soon as we quit spending $50 billion a year in Afghanistan, we start spending $50 billion in Ukraine. Watch where the next $50 billion per year goes when we stop spending it in Ukraine. The military-industrial complex is always hungry. So, in a sense, Thomas Massie is unlikely an anti-Israel or anti-Semite or anti-anything. He seems to be an anti-war political figure, which is something that Trump certainly campaigned on, and something that I pray is true, because when you are anti-war and anti-violence, you don't need to know whether it's Jews dying, Muslims dying, Ukrainians dying, Russians dying, Christians dying. You don't care. You just want, as Donald Trump himself said, I want people to stop dying.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
And that's the Donald Trump that I believe many of you believe you voted for. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Remember, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we stream live at these times. And you can join us on Rumble Premium, where you get additional content from us, as well as an ad-free Rumble experience. More important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.